Today's podcast is about mental health, specifically depression. Now, this is not professional advice. This is not anything that should be interpreted as any professional diagnostic information, right? Just a guy just giving you my opinion on something that's kind of more common than you think it is. So depression, imagine you're feeling so sad that you don't even want to get out of bed. You actually feel like you can't get out of bed, like you just have to sleep and sleep all the time. Well, there's nothing wrong with getting plenty of rest, right? But then there's the consequences. You just been fired from your job because this is the 8th time this month that you couldn't get out of bed. Now you're even more bummed out. But that's not all. Now your family's all over your case because you lost another job. So they start calling you things like lazy or stupid. They might say something like, you'll never amount to anything. Well, that part probably doesn't help you feel any better. But now you're starting to believe them. And you find yourself repeating these same negative judgments to yourself. Feeling like there is something wrong with me. And I'm not good enough. Well, things were bad in the beginning. But when you walk around with all this extra stuff that comes along with it, now you can feel like super overwhelmed. It's like you're walking around trying to carry a ton of sadness on your back. And this is keeping you from functioning properly. But when you add the additional weight of the consequences and the negative judgments, don't be surprised if you feel like you're trying to run a marathon while carrying an SUV on your back. Now, this is just one way to look at depression because it is a lot more intense than being sad or tired. Now, it's important to note that nobody stands in line to buy a large order of depression. It just is kind of there for some people. Now, understanding that depression isn't something that people can just willpower away might be a game changer, and it might open up the door for people to get the help that they need. It's actually like being stuck in quicksand made of crazy glue and misinformation. When a person believes that receiving mental health services means that they are crazy, they won't go look into it because they know they aren't crazy. When a person's family or support people think that you just have to buck up and take care of your responsibilities or just get over it, then they won't be pointing you in the direction of seeking help. It can be like a huge lose-lose situation. And so many people turn to drugs and alcohol to find a way to feel better. Because nobody wants to be miserable and stressed out. It's normal to want to feel better. But with depression, the drugs and alcohol actually tend to make things worse. So around and around we go, and where this merry-go-round will stop, nobody knows. But what we do know is that this condition isn't just going to expire or fall off a person. So the possibility that things will get worse is not a far-fetched one. Now the bright side is that thanks to counseling and sometimes medication, many of the people you pass by in the grocery store or maybe at work have depression and they're functioning just fine. Lately, many Hollywood actors have come out revealing that they used to suffer from the effects of depression and how they felt hopelessly miserable. But due to getting some help, they are now the faces that we see in movies. These days, people are becoming more educated about mental health concerns and the need for getting help. People no longer need to feel broken or defective. Families no longer need to believe that tough love is the way to break a person out of their Monday blues or laziness. People are starting to understand that their situation is kind of like having an issue with your body that needs to be treated. Sometimes you can ignore it till it gets worse and worse. And sometimes it's so painful that you can't even function. Now, not all sadness is depression. And not all depression looks like sadness. There's a lot more to this story, but hopefully this helps somebody a little bit. You got this.